Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm your host, Kate Burgess. The wonderful Michael from Fremantle Tours is back with us today to chat about the street art festivals during Easter, where you can see everything from magicians to sword swallowers. If you didn't think Fremantle could get any cooler, we also talk about the birth of craft breweries in Fremantle and the mouth-watering seafood that you can see the ocean that it's been pulled from. Michael is so passionate about his amazing city, he tells it best. Hope you enjoy. Michael, hello. Welcome back to this episode of Low Season Travel Insider Guides. How are you doing?
So great, thanks. Thanks for having us back on.
Happy to have you. So I'm really excited to talk about the real heart of Fremantle, that culture that you guys drive. And as you mentioned in the previous episode, with only 30,000 people living there, Fremantle boasts so much wonderful culture throughout its food, music, and art. And Freo has been described as this sort of like eccentric hippie little sister to the larger town of Perth that describes it, which I feel is like cities similar to like Brighton, England, which is like the more creative, eclectic sister of London. And I feel that with cities like that, they don't have to follow as many rules, which leads to that huge burst of culture and creativity. And one of those bursts of creativity and culture in Fremantle is the live music scene. What are the best places to experience and what are people going to be hearing?
Oh, that is an amazing question. We have such a diverse range of artists here and also venues to reflect that. My favorite and probably the biggest institution for live original music here in Fremantle is just over the river in North Fremantle. It's called Mojo's, and it could be considered the first dive bar in WA well before dive bars existed. It's just about the music. It's amazing. We were going there from when we were quite young, and you go there for original music every night of the week. No cover bands, and it has this real soul and community to it for music. So you can always get there for something, from album launches, tourings, musicians, to open mic nights, getting all sorts of people. But even on our main street, the Cappuccino Strip, a lot of the restaurants in an evening will move the chairs out the way and it becomes a dance floor, and there'll be a really fun, funky cover band, and you'll get all ages, all different people in there together, through to your little small bars in the main area of town will have little jazz or blues trios playing on a Sunday arvo on a weekend. So there's music coming out from everywhere. Sometimes you walk on a street corner, it has this real New Orleans sort of atmosphere. There's just music spilling out and laughter, and some of the colonial architecture really adds to that atmosphere. The style of music is so diverse. We have bands coming from Fremantle, specifically like Tame Impala, who are somewhat...
They came from Freo?
Yeah, the lead singer, the songwriter Kevin Parker, still lives in Fremantle. You'll see him at a lot of the local pubs, especially to check out a Dockers game. He's always watching the away games there.
Awesome.
So a very common sight. And their sister band, I guess you could say Pond, also live in Fremantle, through to some classics like Eskimo Joe. John Butler Trio, and John Butler started busking in the Fremantle markets. So you can go to his original busking spot to see Butler's Rest. And
cool.
That's all been used and picked up. And we've even had a few new venues open recently that are more like 700-person live music focused venues. And that's great to see that voting confidence in the live music scene. And I have to say, my favorite band, the sound coming out, bit of that indie rock coming from Spacey Jane. They're a little Fremantle export, and they are doing an amazing job around Australia at the moment.
Yeah, they did fantastic. I know they did really well on the Triple J Hottest 100. So good for them, and more music coming out of Freo is awesome. And
yeah.
Not only is Freo known for its live music, but also its really diverse and exciting street art. Is this sort of based in a certain area of the city, or is it just kind of all over?
We have a really exploding mural culture that is all over the city of Fremantle, but underlying really diverse graffiti and street art culture that is in a few little pockets, and you can get that grungier side as well as the very large and extravagant paid murals that we see as well. So as an example, on a 2-hour walk around Freo we take with some guests, we can see over 45 artists, everything from legal to illegal, stickers, paste ups, stencils, huge scale murals to itty bitty little things. And there's some iconic artists who are featured in Frio, both international, like Roa from Belgium, or Flem from Wales, or the amazing Vils from Portugal, who engraves into buildings directly. There's an amazing piece by him.
Wow.
But some local artists that sort of, exactly as you said in the intro here, Kate, that really bend the rules of what you expect an artist to be. So often a street artist might be assumed to be a younger guy, maybe with a hoodie, doing something naughty at night, versus our most prominent artist in Fremantle. His name's Horatio T. Birdbath, and he's in his early 70s.
Fantastic name.
Yeah. Older chap, big beard, feather boa, different color nail polish, and he does these illegal pen drawings just on walls and buildings, and has been doing it since 2000, well before the current craze in street art around the world. And he is said to be the godfather of art here in Fremantle, getting that art and that amazing cultural community we have onto the streets and promoting it. Still to this day, he's a very strong advocate as an older guy.
And as well, of course, you guys have the Fremantle International Street Arts Festival. That's how prominent it is. And it's during the Easter period, so coming up at the moment. And so it basically turns Fremantle, the city, into a whole stage. What is it like?
It is amazing. You can't, I was just trying to grapple for words to describe it. It's like this epic fringe festival that descends onto Fremantle. With over 4 days, there'll be over 100,000 people coming to our town to check it out. So when we say we're a little town and all these people, our main street gets closed to traffic, and there's humans everywhere. There's over 100 performers from overseas, interstate and locally. And the city erupts. It's my favorite time of year in town. It's a very special time. And you'll get everyone from international artists next door to your local sort of schools. Even the street artist we mentioned before, Horatio, he does performance arts at these events as well, just illegally on the street. So you've always got something happening.
So it's not just people sort of like painting or doing art on the walls, there's performance art as well?
Yeah, the majority of art is performance art. So you'll have circus jugglers, comedy, slinky enthusiasts, Diablos, all these sort of street performers you might associate with busking at a local market, which we have every weekend. There'll be buskers performing out the front of our markets, in musicians, but mostly street performers. And this just centers all these people in just going crazy. And it attracts gymnasts and acrobats all the way through to magicians. And I always love the slinky people that just do weird stuff with slinkies and yo-yos, and very fun.
That always blows your mind. It's just sometimes too quick for your eyes and you're so confused about what they're doing, but also just incredibly impressed at the same time.
Yeah.
So this is all non-ticketed. It's all a free event just for people to come experience?
Exactly right. Completely free event. It boggles the mind that it can get off the ground and work, and we can close streets for it. But it shows that sentiment of the community and the city as a whole that says, let's get behind this. As you said right at the start, we always say, if you are in Frio, you can do whatever you like and dress however you like and behave how you like. As long as you're not hurting anyone, no one's going to take an issue with it. So you get this great diversity of people. And the Street Arts Festival is almost a culmination of that, where you have sword swallowers walking next to nonnas who are going to go do their shopping. And there's those fully tattooed, completely covered people next to your old fishermen or your people sipping their espressos. So it's this great juxtaposition, but that's Frio. That's the best thing, is that it's all about diversity of culture and people.
Oh, just beautiful. Sounds so beautiful. And as well, on top of that, the Fremantle Arts Centre, which is housed in this big Gothic heritage building, has free exhibitions, free concerts, some ticketed concerts as well, from local and international artists. Is this open during the low season too?
It is certainly, yeah. They have all the time exhibitions, usually 1 to about 3 different exhibitions in their space. There's a gorgeous cafe and art gallery store in there, so you can get artist-made products. And we make it a feature. We go every time an exhibition changes for the art side, the visual arts, but the performance art in the area is also phenomenal. So it's our favorite live music venue in Fremantle, because they do things from free Sunday afternoon sessions, and they'll just have a local band play, and you can bring your picnic and lay on the lawn, all the way through to big ticket bands in their larger outdoor spaces. So it's something for everyone, and right in the center of town once again. They even do art classes there, so they really do the whole gamut that you want from your visual art. It's amazing. Also, it's in the original women's lunatic asylum.
Okay, so you had the men's prison and the women's lunatic asylum.
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yes. So it's the city, even though we can go into such amazing modern street art and these cultural elements, it's all housed within this gorgeous history and heritage that just is everywhere. Thankfully, all still here and not bulldozed. So it keeps this soul of the city with this modern twist chucked on top of it.
Yeah, Fremantle has clearly done a fantastic job in preserving its history and turning it modern for people to still use and learn about. So I will say Fremantle really does not sound like it can get much cooler, but Fremantle is basically the start of the craft beer revolution in Australia. Started back in the 80s when the Matilda Bay Brewing Company set up shop, and also started by the same guy. One of my favorite beers, Little Creatures, was started there as well. So what influence have you seen throughout Fremantle in that craft beer space, and what is your favorite brewery to visit?
It is an exploding scene, isn't it? Around the world and Australia, and in Fremantle, with some older venues, but Little Creatures taking charge and setting the scene and saying, hey, you can do this on a fun scale and have a big beer hall. And it's almost a 1,300 person venue, Little Creatures in Fremantle. Whoa. So there's a couple of people there, over 100 front of house staff. So it's a really amazing space, very festive. And they still brew there up to about 45,000 litres a day in Freo.
Wow.
So yeah, you can't quite drink through it. So they do also. It's amazing to see.
The beer won't run out. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's not going to be a pub with no beer. You've always got beer on tap. And it comes straight from, they don't then keg it. It comes from the big tank. So it's a really fresh experience. But it has seen the rise and proliferation of smaller microbreweries. We've got one under construction at the moment who haven't even said what their name is, but we know they're
cool.
It's going to be quite fun, right in the middle of the Cappuccino Strip. We have had just open in South Freo, the gorgeous Running with Thieves, who are a Melbourne-based brewery. We have 2 microbreweries, the Union Distillery and Brewery. So they're just also in Central Freo. And my favourite brewery, but they don't have a space, is South Fremantle Brewing. So as the name suggests, there's some chaps from South Fremantle, and they used to brew illegally in a shed down there and supply a lot of the bars. And now they're at a bit of a bigger scale, but they don't have a space. But my favourite one to go into, still to this day, as a local, it's still Little Creatures for me. It really embodies so much of that vibrancy of Fremantle and that craft beer culture. And they give away free beer. Once a month, they do 3 kegs on the house when they release a new beer or trialing something. So you've got to know where to go on a Thursday night. And as a local Freo resident, I have done my time. I've worked at Little Creatures in Freo, and they still get a pint at the end of your shift, and you still get a 6-pack of beer every payday. So it's pretty amazing.
That's pretty sick. I mean, that's where the pay's going anyway, to the 6-pack of beer. So that's awesome.
But it's great to embody that small business culture where you're rewarding your staff and keeping everyone involved and having a good time. So it's an amazing place. It's a must see. And you can do a brewery tour there, which I enjoy getting in amongst it. And you can go through all the tasting of their beers right on the waterfront in Fishing Boat Harbour. So it sort of combines a lot of elements of Freo in one. Do you know what used to be in the site of the Little Creatures Brewery in Fremantle?
I don't know.
It's these huge warehouses. Imagine a beer hall originally built for the America's Cup to store yachts in when the race occurred here in Fremantle, and really put us on the map and a lot of infrastructure. But then we wanted more tourism once that finished. So they put a crocodile farm in there.
A croc farm?
Yes. So my childhood memory, I'd walk down with my nana to a local cafe. We get an egg sandwich, and then we'd walk into there, and all the infrastructure's still there. They even have pictures up in the venue of what it looked like as a croc farm. And it's quite mind-blowing. And when we have people come through who do remember it, it's really enjoyable. So they've got some little tributes to that through their venue. If you keep your eyes peeled, you'll spot some crocodiles.
That's awesome. You never know what's hiding behind the bar. Little Creatures. It makes sense, right?
Yeah, and all the staff are called Creatures. So they're just,
that's cool.
When your server, they say, "Oh no, it's your creature. Who's your creature tonight?"
That's awesome. And so on the other side of that, is the food. So surely being a coastal town, you must have seafood that is out of this world.
We are
What are
so
people going
fortunate
to
to have.
have?
We have a booming fishing culture in Frio, from our Western rock lobster or crayfish, which you can now buy fresh from the port as the public. So we have two fisheries that operate in Frio that have their own fishmongers and fish and chip shops in Frio. And when it comes to venues to really get into this fresh and changing seafood as it's available, the top suggestion would have to be a little place that's just opened in South Fremantle called Madalina's. It's a little natural wine bar, botica, and seafood venue. And the menu changes constantly, all focused around seafood. And it's about 30 meters from the beach. So you can't get too wrong in that regard.
If you can see the ocean and you're at a seafood restaurant, you're in the right place.
That's it. You know you're at the right place. And all the venues in Fremantle really do feature a bit of seafood on it, especially the large volume of Italian restaurants we have through Frio always has a big influence coming through there.
And as well, you've mentioned quite a few times the Fremantle markets. Is that a place that you go just for fresh produce, or is there lots of sort of stalls that you can try different foods there as well?
It has got 150 different stalls throughout the space, and it's been used as a market continuously since the 1890s. So it's this
another beautiful preserved bit of history in Fremantle.
And it's where they're only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and public holidays. And there's this half of the markets is all fresh produce. So you get really cheap fruit and veg, very vibrant with the owners yelling out to you and asking what you want, and the specials available, a lot of organic options. And throughout that section is a lot of food stalls. You can go to a Turkish shop where they're literally rolling out the baklava in front of you, or you get your gorgeous thick Turkish coffee, all the way through to your like bratwurst sausages and donuts. Into then the rest of the markets are stalls, of which about half of the stuff you can find nowhere else. It's only made here in Fremantle in WA. So a lot of local stall holders, as well as some of your bigger ticket things that you might see in markets around the world. So it's got this great festive atmosphere. If you are staying in Fremantle, I have to recommend on a Sunday you pop in, and a lot of the fruit and veg in the afternoon will be half price. So we do our food shopping down there on a Sunday arvo, and you get loaded up, everything's got to go, and you're set for the week ahead.
That's a top tip. That's a winner, that one. Are there any other must-try restaurants that you have in Fremantle that people just cannot miss out on?
Yeah, we are spoilt for choice, which is fantastic. And because of that diverse culture that comes through Freo, there's a lot of different cuisines, but also a lot of different options depending on what you eat, because we all eat different things. So Freo being a bit of that hippie little sister city, we have an amazing vegan restaurant called Mother in an old 1920s warehouse. And it's this modern Australian sort of share food, but all with this vegan twist. And you'd never know it's a plant-based restaurant, lots of vegan wine, and also a very big selection of non-alcoholic and what do they call them? Really amazing, like elixirs that you can take during your dinner to help your digestion. And then that goes right through to some epic barbecue joints. The Manuka wood-fired kitchen is another winner. And as the name suggests, they cook everything in their wood-fired oven. Mm-hmm. So if you order bread when you arrive, they put it in the oven then, and it comes out hot. And they do these hot olives that come out of their wood-fired ovens. It's just a real delight to see these quite unique and, well, very niche venues who are flourishing, because we're known as this place to come and eat and drink. So no matter what you like to eat or don't like to eat, you'll find it here in Fremantle. If it's just at a market stall or through to one of the best restaurants in Perth, you'll find them all here in Freo.
Well, I'm going to come and try it all. Those markets really sound like my style. I always get incredibly overwhelmed, and I always do a loop first, check out every stall, think what I want, go back. I could spend all day there.
Well, you got 3 days, so you can just hang out there, go back every day.
Yeah, just nap there, sort of wait, see in the morning.
There's now a hotel attached that's in convict-built 1850s houses. There's now a little hotel with its own restaurant as well that literally adjoins the market. So you could sleep there essentially, yeah.
Wow. Okay, I didn't think I could, but now I can. That is so awesome. And so, Michael, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about your business. You own and operate Fremantle Tours, and you got given the best business in Fremantle in 2020, which is an incredible achievement for a tourism business to achieve that. So, congratulations on that. That is just awesome. So, what kind of tours do you run around Fremantle?
Thanks so much, Kate. We love getting around Freo and showing a local side. So that's really always our point of difference. We want to show off the local side of Freo. So we do walking tours and bicycle tours that cover a bit of the historical context, how Fremantle's come to be, but also how we've become Freo. The Freo we've been talking about, that cafe culture, restaurant, bar, street art. So over a 2-hour walk or a 3-hour bike ride, we stop and get a coffee because, well, coffee's really important. And you get to really come away with a local's understanding, our favorite places to eat and drink, but also the why it's here and why there's these really old looking buildings in the middle of our city and how that still affects how the city works today. And then we really get to have some fun on some of our niche tours, like our street art, beers and bike tour, which sort of, as the name suggests, it combines our 3 favorite things. We check out only street art all around Fremantle and South Fremantle and North Freo, and we stop at 2 venues to have a couple of locally made beers and have a chat with the owners of the venues. And it's just a great way to see a very modern side of Freo by bike, taking it easy. It's nice and flat in Fremantle as well, so you'll have a fun time. So you can't go too wrong. I think it's a great way to see Fremantle with a local who we love the space and love to shout it out. And there's so many possibilities for you to explore, and we love to show you our hometown.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. I'll make sure to put a link in the description for the podcast. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure learning about a city that I personally did not know a huge amount about, and now it has just skyrocketed to the top of my list. And the fact that Easter is coming up in a week and a half time, I might just have to come to the Street Art Festival.
Yeah, get involved. It's been so good to tell you all about this amazing place that we get to call home, and we can't wait to welcome you over and welcome everyone over to our gorgeous port city of Fremantle and say g'day.
Thanks. I have just been onto Skyscanner to check out the prices of flights from Melbourne to Freo after that episode. Definitely going to try and make it over for Easter. I mean, how could I not? Thank you again to Michael for joining us. If there are any destinations you'd like to hear more about, message us on our social channels at Low Season Traveller. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and social network. More now than ever, travel is better without the crowds.